Where's the last one? 1, 2, 3.
When they walk into our living room, they see 3 motorcycles, and their first reaction is, you must have an understanding wife. And I say, yes, I have a very understanding wife. People think I'm a little eccentric for having motorcycles in there, perhaps, but again, as we all appreciate, this is art. It happens to have 2 wheels, but it's art in the same way that something up on a wall is a painting. It is kept inside. Over the years, I put it in various museums, various displays, and it's always really appreciated by people. But at this point, it is sitting in our living room. There are 2 reasons for it. One, it looks fantastic in our living room, and I'm always happy to look up at it and take a moment just to think how special it is and how wonderful it is. And at the same time, I'm also out of room and have nowhere else to park it. Hi, my name is John Stein from Los Angeles, California. But more important than who I am is what this guy is, and this is Barn Job, which is pretty much without a doubt the most famous drag bike in history. It was the first machine to go 140, 150, 160 in the quarter mile, as well as the first to do the quarter mile in under 10 seconds. For 5 years during the 60s, it was the #1 drag bike in the world. It's based upon a 1949 Vincent Rapide engine. This bike was built by a gentleman from Buffalo, New York named Clem Johnson, who is pretty much without a doubt the greatest, or certainly one of the greatest machinist fabricators in motorcycle drag racing history. Clem worked on this pretty much continuously for over 30 years as he really spent his life developing it from something kind of basic into something extraordinarily complex and sophisticated. Vincent motorcycles back in the day, the 50s and 60s, were the fastest motorcycles in the world. Of that, there's no doubt, there's no argument. When this Rapide engine came from the factory, it measured 61 cubic inches, which is 1,000 cc's. 1,000 cc's is plenty, but more cc's, bigger engine, would be more effective in the quarter mile. So Clem threw away the stock cylinders. He manufactured from billet steel his own cylinders, and rather than being 1,000 cc's, 61 cubic inches, it now was 1,600 cc's, which is 96 cubic inches, and with that increase in displacement came a whole lot more power. Some of the power increase also came from the fact that he, like others, ran it not on gasoline, but on nitromethane with some other chemicals added in smaller quantities. I don't know the exact mix, it might have been 90%, but into this tank was a sufficient amount of nitro to make a number of passes, and that nitro effectively at least doubles the horsepower that the engine ultimately produces. Most of the other ones that it competed against had steel frames. It was stronger, it was also a little bit heavier. This one, as you can see, uses aluminum. All the frame is made of aluminum. In this particular section houses again where the nitromethane was, but this large section down here, this reservoir, if you will, is actually where the oil was housed, and you can see various fittings, and there will be a pump and everything that allows the oil to then get into the engine where it circulates to all the critical spots. These are Hillborn injectors, I believe. It was definitely the trick way to go, much more precise metering, much more in the way of delivering performance. But injectors need a pressurized system to run, and so in order to get fuel to these 2 injectors, it required the use of a fuel pump down here. It came from the fuel tank down here into here, operated under pressure, and then distributing the fuel to the injectors. Definitely helped Clem improve the performance. The front end on this motorcycle is conventional in some respects for the drag bikes of that era. Everybody used Ceriani Italian-made forks, which were absolutely the gold standard. People used a slick because there would be less rolling resistance. Smooth tire, they used your basic Boreani or Acront front aluminum rim. Some guys ran a spool hub with no brake. Other guys would run a disc, but Clem borrowed a hub from a Suzuki because his good friend Jim Weinweber owned a Suzuki shop. Jim gave Clem a wheel. He modified it to suit the width of the front end, and the front wheel here is Suzuki based and absolutely effective. This motorcycle Barn Job is part of what prodded me into capturing the story not only of this bike, but of so many of the other significant historic drag bikes throughout history. And this motorcycle and many, many others figure into this book, which I've done, called Motorcycle Drag Racing, A History. The book weighs 4 pounds. It has about 250 pages, 250 photographs. It profiles more than 500 people that were so important to the growth, history and growth of motorcycle drag racing. The book sells for $40. I sell it on my website, which is gearheadpublishing.com. It's also sold by distributors both in the States and around the world. I've probably sold copies in 15 different countries, free shipping included. It is very worthwhile, I promise you.